All right, I think we're live, Xavier. Well, not live, but you know.
We're recording.
So, welcome to the Heal Thyself show. I am Crystal, and I'm here with Xavier. Xavier and I are in an amazing coaching container together where we're learning about some phenomenal ways to put our work into the world. And so I come today to highlight Xavier and the work he's doing because he's very active in the group. He is, I'm very picky about the energies I associate with, and he just has this really kind, peaceful energy that I want to share with my followers, with the people who are on my Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So welcome, Xavier. Such a pleasure to be connected with you.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here, and just an honor that you thought about me to be on your show. It's an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let's get started. You've been coaching since 2014. So tell us how you got into coaching.
Well, coaching for me was, I was looking for myself when I started coaching in 2014. It was transformational coaching at the time, but more on the outside. I was a nutrition and fitness coach. And it happened for me at a moment where I was involved in a PhD program that I wasn't feeling aligned with anymore. It's like I had gone through my own kind of awakening, and I wasn't feeling myself in the middle of the PhD program anymore. So I decided that I'm gonna drop it, So just to have a little bit more light here, I'm gonna turn it on.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to that. So that's how it started for me. I knew I wanted to help people. That's what I knew. And the initial idea was to help people with their health and their nutrition. And this is how I stepped into coaching. And we opened the gym. We started coaching people with the health and fitness. And slowly I started noticing that I would have those clients, that I could give them a plan. They would know exactly what they had to do. But for some reason, they wouldn't do it. And this was really bugging me a lot, because I was like, if you just do this, you will have results. I was confident on that. And I had enough evidence of clients following what I was giving them and having results. And then I started questioning the mindset of all those clients, like not experiencing transformation at a physical level. And for so many, I just stumbled upon many blocks, mindset blocks, patterns, behaviors that I needed to help them shift. And slowly I started integrating a little bit more mindset coaching in that nutrition and fitness, under that nutrition and fitness coach hat that I had. And slowly I had that one client. Her name is Neale Jones. And we had been struggling for a long time. And at some point, I just shifted. I started attacking everything that was going on in her life that was, blurring her focus. And we started working on those issues, reframing, giving her, I was sending her YouTube videos of things that she could just watch that would get her in a better mood. And then slowly she started doing the work. She started getting results. And then a few months later, she came to me and she was about to stop working with me because she had the results that she was looking for. I asked her, what made the shift? What was the shift? And she told me, that time when we started talking about things that were happening in my life, you did more than coaching me on on the fitness level, nutrition level. You are my life coach. And it helped me a lot. And that was my first kind of, this thing exists. This is something that I can eventually do. And I would say that was the beginning for me.
Beautiful. And what's so amazing about it is when I decided I wanted to be a transformation coach, I did that. I went to nutrition and I realized the same thing, that it wasn't just nutrition, it was mindset. And so what is it for you now that you've been coaching people and it's not just nutrition, it's also mindset? what part of that, besides, is it that inner child work, or what's the main part that really helps people like get over the hump? Because motivation often isn't enough, like motivational videos. Like, what does it really take?
I mean, honestly, motivation for me is not enough at all. I would say it gets people started on their journey, and it gets them aware of the importance of working on the mindset part of things, but it's absolutely not enough. What I found for myself, it's actually after in 2018 is the year where I decided to completely stop do nutrition and fitness coaching. I completely stopped doing it there. And then I started really focusing on transformational coaching. Now, at that time, what I noticed is like just working on the mindset level, which is reframing the thinking process, reframing how the behavioral process without really working on the emotional body is not really successful. That is what I noticed for myself. I started noticing if I'm just going to give people tactics to manage better their time, to actually reframe how they want to think and stuff like that, to, just vibrate higher without giving them also ways to entangle their own energy, I am not really providing sustainable change. And I started noticing, especially with the people that had deeper issues and tapped issues like maybe emotional blocks and trauma, that it could work like vibrational anchors. It would keep them, in a low vibration state, and they would do all the affirming, all the eventually journaling, and all the positive thinking. But if those blocks, anchors, were not lifted some way, somehow, or released, they wouldn't experience the transformation that they were looking for. So for me, both parts of the work are necessary. At the same time, letting go and releasing and healing those blocks, and also really focusing on the new reality that we would like to create. So this is how I work.
I like that, focusing on the new reality. So I'm taking notes because you guys may not know I'm a new coach, like less than 6 months. And funny that you started the same way I did, like literally, like I was taking supplements and doing stuff, and it's all organic and the best of the best. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, intermittent fasting, I'm actually passing out. I'm not taking care of myself. Like, you're just helping me not take care of myself more. So then I'm like, wait, I think there's something more to it. And so, yeah, I hope that you guys, especially if you're a new coach, you get something out of this, because Xavier he's already been through the process. So he kind of knows what's coming ahead. And I have reached the point where I was going to go back to my therapist and ask her what I needed to do, because I was with her for 4 years. And then I remembered the book called The Tao of Fully Feeling, and it's all about your emotions. So that's usually where people end up, right, is at emotions, because we weren't taught, right? Like, tell me more about how you see emotions playing into the big picture, because men aren't supposed to experience emotions. So what's that like for you?
Oh, for me, it actually really funny, because I've had for a long time a conflicted relationship with my emotional body. And when I was growing up, I was really extremely sensitive. I was actually really crying all the time. And I was either crying all the time, or either really within myself, really calm, really quiet in a corner, just observing people. At some point, my mom was sometimes worrying, is there something wrong with this guy? Is he okay? And at some point she just accepted that is how I was. But we grew up in an environment where I grew up in Africa, in Central Africa. So in that environment where men are really like, the archetype of strength, of, the warrior, the emotionalist, I want to say. And it was really hard for me to integrate that archetype, but I did, because it was just what you were doing. This is what, all the examples that I had were those examples. So I did. I created that separation within what I was feeling inside, and also how I was showing up. I really suppressed a lot. And it always catches up, right? It always catches up. It's like you create that internal bubble, And for people, for men especially, it's going to show up in many distorted ways. We call it toxic masculinity. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's only toxic humanity, which is what happens when you bubble up emotions and you don't want to express them, or you make it very unsafe to even connect with them. So I
Mm-hmm.
had that phase where I did a big work of just allowing myself to feel again,
Mm-hmm.
allowing myself to welcome them all, as ugly, beautiful as they are. Because in my experience, if you don't allow yourself to really welcome your emotions, whatever they are, you cast away divine guidance. Because in my experience, source, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, speaks to us in two main ways: intuition and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you cast away those two, I want to say tools or communication mechanisms, you are basically on your own, on this plane. And I was like, in order to really bring lasting, sustainable change to people, I got to be able to do that myself. So I went through that
Mm-hmm.
journey, and I am still going through it right now.
That is gorgeous. To see a man, like a masculine man, like I would say you probably seem balanced, right? You've balanced yourself more, like masculine, feminine.
I have done the work, and I'm still doing it. Like I
Perfect.
know that there is not, for me, it's never done, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
That's
work
the
is.
perspective that, but I've done quite a bit of that work, and I continuously do it.
So let's talk about that toxic masculinity, because that's really where this whole Black Lives Matter thing is coming back up again. The cop thing that happened in Minneapolis. My daughter keeps coming in here asking me what's going on and how are people really like doing this? And I explained to her it really is the toxic masculinity. Like
Yeah.
people want power over something and they choose the weakest, what they consider the weakest human or animal or the whatever it is, animal, because humans are animals. But and I had experiences growing up where I had witnessed this taking place, and so my daughter never has, and she's freaked out, like, what, this is really happening?
Yeah.
So as a Black man, and even though you're not in America, you're in Canada still, if you ever came to the States, you would know that the temperature or the atmosphere here is not kind to Black people, and that is never okay. So where do you think this is all like gonna head? Where are we going with this?
Where it is going or where it's coming from? What?
No, not I okay, we'll start with where it's coming from. Where do you think the toxic masculinity started? Although I told her the way America started, we killed all the Indians, right?
Yeah.
And enslaved the Black people, and like we're acting like America's so kind and nice. No, it's not true. So I know that part, but where else do you think it's coming from?
Well, honestly, I think it's whatever we see, it is just here's something that I believe deeply in the core of myself is, if you want to know how advanced a society is, look at how they treat women. Look at how they treat feminine energy. And this is one core thing that I believe. And it would be a little bit too esoteric to go eventually to the things that I think started all this situation that we go through. But I feel
Okay.
like there has been some like I want to say loss of consciousness when we start from a low consciousness level and we go to a higher consciousness level. We are called to integrate more of, we are called to balance a little bit more those yin and yang kind of energies. And I believe that for the longest time, the feminine energy that we all have within us has been suppressed, and
That's
it
it.
just
That is
and,
so freaking genius. Okay.
and it just showed up on the outside. And that
Yeah.
feminine energy is within, like, the toxic masculinity, in my opinion, is not a matter of men. It's not gender related. It
Right.
is it is gender neutral, because the unbalance of feminine masculine is present in every single human being on the planet at the moment. And as we all go back to a balanced place, all those outside things that are just like reflecting that imbalance that we are going through inside are going to dissipate. This is my opinion. So I believe that collectively, in at the same time, males and females, that feminine has been suppressed. I know many women that are more masculine than I am in the way they are showing up in the world, in the kind of energies that they carry, right? Which is really fighting and kind of sometimes aggressive. And those are attributes of unbalanced masculinity. And I believe that at a global level, we are all carrying it. And as we allow ourselves to work on welcoming both in a balanced way, then those things are going to be dissipated. And of course, there is also the aspects of fear that are related to the race battles out there. There are many aspects of fear that are related to all of this. There are many aspects of also rage. I would say for Black people that are, rage, in my opinion, is something that happens when you feel hurt and helpless. And many people of color and Black people feel that way. They feel like the system is kind of like not seeing them, right?
Yeah,
so they
right.
feel so they
Invisible.
feel hurt and helpless, and an attempt to sometimes get your power back when you feel powerless is rage. It's like, you know. And I feel like for many white people, it's those who are not involved in those acts of injustice, they feel some sense of shame for even just being a white person. And that shame is not what I would say Black people want from white people, right? And the goal here is really to go back to a core of compassion, because this is what will transmute all of those energies, compassionate action. Because as people become more compassionate, the leadership of those people is going to have to change. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Yes, because we all know what Martin Luther King said, that who was it that said that the world is not going to be destroyed by the bad people, it's the people standing by and watching it happen. And
absolutely,
damn, that was hard to watch, people just standing there watching it happen. That was so hard.
Yeah, that was extremely hard for me as well. And I'm just going to be honest, just today I cried probably 3 times.
Oh,
right.
I feel like
And for me,
I'm going to release that today.
And for me, it's a way to just like work with those emotions, because sadly enough, many people don't know how to work with them. Like because they feel powerless and hurt, they revert into rage. And now some white people are going to see that rage in action and feel even more fear. And because of that, there is that push-pull energy, rage, fear, shame, pushback, because we don't want you to feel shame as well. We don't want you to apologize for, the sins of some white unbalanced people. And we don't want to apologize as well for the sins of some Black unbalanced men and women that robbed or did some stuff, because justice should never be racialized, right? So
really good point. That's so good.
This is basically the push-pull energy that is going on right now. And the bridge is really like compassionate action. The bridge would be like a white woman going out in the street and seeing a Black man and be like, can I hug you? Without trying to apologize for anything, but just seeing the person. That would be the bridge. The bridge would be a Black man or a Black female just seeing another male, actually a Black female seeing a white male and be like, would you please let me hug you? Especially if the guy did nothing and he's feeling the shame of what has been done by other people out there in their fear, right? So I feel like the bridge right now is going to be compassionate action, and that's spiritually bypassing all what is going on right now, which means I had nothing to do with it. I'd rather turn my head onto something else. It
No
is
way.
okay if you need to do that to cope at the moment. If you need to do that to cope at the moment, sure, why not? But for this situation to change, it takes really those spiritual people to be like, okay, how can I bring compassionate, not just in words right now, but in like actions? How can I bring compassion in action? That's really what I feel like.
It's beautiful. And you know what really came up for me is when you were talking, what was mind-blowing is mostly because of the media, we get the picture of the mad black man or the mad black woman. So you have that people already holding, and now you have the other side of the coin, which is the I'm going to get them back because they don't know how to behave in our society. And that is further from the truth, because I know way more amazing black people than I do the ones that are stealing and doing things that they learned to do when they were kids or whatever. Like, I do know them. I do know. And I know way more better, like amazing characters.
Yeah. And it's like, it is about time for those characters to actually show up, because what happens, in my opinion, is collective awakening will bring to the surface collective shadows. Which means the more we become enlightened, the more we awake, the more we are going to bring light in those dark corners of humanity that we didn't want to see, but that we need to deal with so that we can move higher. And I feel like this is what is happening. I feel like we should expect seeing more ugly stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not because we are going backwards. It's actually because there is more light in the room. So we can actually see, oh, this has been going on for the longest time, but we couldn't see it. But now, because people have internet on themselves and they have cell phones all the freaking time, they can see something that was going on for probably for decades. But in a second, they can take a video, an image of that, and have it out there. And to me, this is at the same time, it feels sad to look at those things, but it is brilliant, because all that darkness is going to get exposed right now. And it takes some sort of now spiritual common sense, spiritual intelligence, to be able to, okay, see it and to be able to work with it. Like all that spiritual brain, all those things that we read and we practice, that compassion, that love, it's what does it look like in action? That's where I stand right now.
That's beautiful. And that is really our message today. I didn't know that was going to be our message today, but how cool that's our message today.
That's really amazing.
To act, be in action with compassion. I took a whole page full of notes right now. I'm a crazy note taker. Okay, well, we got tons of things. I know that you work with soul entrepreneurs, so I want to talk about the last books. I have a list of books that I want you to tell me that you love, and I want to highlight some characteristics in you, Xavier. Xavier, he works with soul entrepreneurs. So if you are a soul entrepreneur right now and you want to move ahead to contribute better in the world, because as you can see, Xavier, he really cares a lot about the world and compassionate action. So that's awesome. He's non-judgmental, heart-centered, and
I do my best. I do my best. Not to
yeah, exactly. But to say that these are the qualities of you, because I've definitely seen you in action with your non-judgment. I see your heart-centered, and obviously we see your emotional intelligence. I feel way more masculine around you than I ought to be. It's because I am out of balance in a lot of ways that I'm coming into balance. And yeah, part of our work is coaching ourselves. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So top 3 books. I want to hear about your top 3 personal development books.
Ooh, the first one is, it's going to be the first one for the rest of my life. It's called Conversation with God by Neale Donald Walsch. That book is the book that freed me, liberated me, because I used to be a religious gangster. I was born in a very religious family, and very young, even I bought into the idea, I would like to be a priest when I grow up. And then after, I was probably 5 when I said, I want to be a priest when I grow up. And then we started going to church, and I started, just observing the behavior. And I was like, this doesn't feel good. A God that is going to send me to hell if I don't behave, fuck this God, and like all those, patriarchal, just like aspect of God and all those things, and just like you are born dirty and all these things. I was like, I respect all the religions right now that more than I ever did before, because I came to this space where I have accepted the way I feel about it, and I honor the fact that people need that in their lives to come back to a place of balance. But I was really fighting against all of this with my parents all the time because they are religious, they are Christians, and I was just telling all the time, this doesn't feel good to me. I don't want to go. And this is bullshit. And blah, blah, blah. I was mad at God, like really mad at God. And I was like, how can he let all these stupid things happen, all those injustice happen, and blah, blah, blah. So I was really at a place where it just didn't make any sense. So I put it on the side for a second. And after that awakening, I would say, diving into the work of teachers like Wayne Dyer, Conversations with God of Neale Donald Walsch was really, it was like it was just like an alignment of truth with what I believed, or what I denied that part of me for a long time. And it was just like that confirmation with, some sort of like ideas and beliefs that I had about how the universe works. And it was a beautiful coming together. It was a beautiful way of answering those questions that I had as a kid that no one was ever able to answer for me, you know? And, as you are often a kid, you're like, why? Like, how come? How come I need to go to this man to confess for my sins, and he's going to go talk to God so that I can be cleaned up? I was like, this doesn't freaking make sense. How come I can't talk to him myself? Little things like that. So, yeah, I was a religious gangster because my parents were always trying to fight with me to dive more into it, and I refused for the longest time. And right now, I'm at a space where I can go and sit down in any church, in any kind of religion, without experiencing all of the distress that I had in the past, because I came to a relationship with God that is all encompassing, all accepting, and I love that. So, and it came mainly from that book for me. So yeah, that's why it was a liberating experience.
Is there more than one version of it, or more than one series? I mean, like there's a series of it, right? 1, 2, and 3, or something.
Yeah, there's a series of it, and yeah, I don't want to say that part. I want to say you guys want to go look for the book. Yeah, there was an idea that came up, and I was like, where to find the book? And I was like, no, this is not really of service to this man that dedicated his life to writing this book.
I'm all about finding free books, but you can find stuff on audiobook or on YouTube and stuff.
Absolutely. And if you the free way where you can find it, you can ask me, in the back office. I'll let you know.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Hit Xavier up. He'll let you know how to get that book for free. The second book that you've loved the most, I got that book 10 years ago. I would love to for you to tell me about it, because I think it was over my head when I read it. I didn't get it.
Yeah. Ask and It's Given by Gary and Esther Hicks. That was the book about the law of attraction. And I would say Abraham, which is the entity that is channeled by Esther Hicks, has been very instrumental in my journey and even now. And it's about the law of attraction. It's about manifesting. It's about calling into your life and allowing the experiences and things that you would like to manifest. And for me, it was just like a groundbreaking work and an initiation to really working with the divine intelligence that we are all surrounded with. So that's why I love that book, and I still love that book. I've read it over a good solid 60 times or more, like solid. This is how it, and every time I read it, I come up with a new awareness. Every time I read it, I come up with a new awareness. And yeah, this has been a really instrumental book in my journey.
Okay, number 3.
Becoming Supernatural. This is by one of the people that I call my mentors out there, you know, mentors from afar. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And Becoming Supernatural was just seeing him, Dr. Joe Dispenza, embracing fully who he was as a teacher, because he's also a scientist, you know, he's a doctor, and he's a, I think, chiropractor, and he always loved the scientific approach to everything, you know. And he wrote many books that really resonated with me. You Are the Placebo. He also wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and all those books, yeah, all those books were awesome. But in Becoming Supernatural, I witnessed a man of science embracing fully spirituality.
I gotta read it now. Okay.
This is powerful. And the technique and the meditations and everything that he shares through the book and that he gives on his website as well are just powerfully strong, like many testimonials of people healing through his word. And this is what, because he brings so much evidence to the work that sometimes we call woo-woo, because he backs it up so much with proof, with people healing, and it is, you know, it is documented and it's proved by science how he actually measures the brain waves of people and the energy field of people. This was just like, thank God for this man. And I was like, you know, it was a powerful confirmation.
Yeah.
And I love that book. Yeah.
Yeah, I normally, when I took psychology, I just graduated last November. I normally didn't care about the people's names. And then as I started learning about like the modern scientists, I was like, oh, I get it. Like their work is moving the needle forward for humanity. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is definitely one of those people.
He is at the forefront. Yes. I'm totally in admiration of his work.
So Xavier, what are you working on right now? What are you currently working on? What projects?
Right now, I am the project that I'm working on is Integrate. Integrate is my group coaching package, and it is a journey into owning our shadows so that we can elevate our lives. And through my journey, I've always questioned things like self-sabotage. I was like, how come people want to sabotage themselves? It was just crazy for me. Thinking that a human is ill-intentioned is crazy for me. So I was like, how come people want to be self-destructive? And as I started reading, I was like, all of those are just coping mechanisms. All of those are just some parts of ourselves acting out so that we can feel safe. And I was like, okay, how can I help them untangle all those energies? And you can try to supercharge enough the positive focus of transformation, and maybe it can help people shift. But what I found out is if I help people becoming aware of the shadows, becoming aware of the parts of themselves that are acting out through self-sabotage, that are acting out through self-destructive habits, that are acting out through pushing people away, you know, so that they can feel safe. If I help them become aware of all those, if I help them become aware of that inner child that feels unsafe within, if I help them untangle all those energies, release all those anchors, and really become aware of those so that they can come back to this place of consciousness and be at a moment where the shadows are not making the decisions in their place anymore. They can see those shadows now, but because they can see them, they can choose to make a decision anchored and grounded. Then I can really help them have mastery of their lives, of their circumstances. And this is how I came up with Integrate. So integrity is really what I'm working on right now. It's a 12-week journey. I'm going to be working with a small group of people to really help them own their shadows, you know, to help them heal at a deeper level, to help them release trauma, emotional blocks, and also reparent themselves, heal the pleasers within, you know, so that they can actually own the truth. And this is what I'm working on right now.
Okay, and you said it's a small group, so it's a little container, right?
It is a little container.
How many openings do you have right now?
Right now, I'm going to work with a maximum of 12 because I cannot work with more than 12. And I already have a few people signed up in the container. So right now, I will be accepting like another maximum of 5 people.
Awesome. Okay. So how would somebody get a hold of you, Xavier, if they wanted to work with you?
On my Instagram, also on my website, basically Xavier Dagba. This is on Instagram, and on my website, it's like xavierdagba.com. So those are the main places where I'm active. I'm also active on Facebook, of course, if they want. It's basically the same thing on all platforms.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah.
Smart. Okay, we were going to do a little exercise, but it's already 30 minutes. So I think this always, just like coaching, right? You don't know what's going to happen, even though you can plan it if you want.
Yeah.
You can plan it if you want, but it might not go how you expected.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
I think
always free flowing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I truly believe it was perfect, and I'm so happy. I want to say I'm really honored that you thought of me to show up here and to share what I have within with all of your audience, with you. So it's a great honor to be here.
It is really a pleasure. We didn't even plan for it to work out this way, and it really did. And yeah, it's because we follow our intuition, trying to get on your
amazing
that level with emotions.
That's really amazing. I really love it. So yeah, I have so much gratitude that you invited me to do this.
Yeah, me too. I have gratitude that you accepted it. Yeah, thank you for receiving.
You are totally welcome, and I received this.
Yeah, me too. I receive your love. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. And so bye everybody.
Awesome.